Okay, excellent. Welcome, everybody. Good morning and welcome to this webinar. I'm really excited to host you guys today. Just before we start, a little bit of housekeeping. Before we start this webinar about conversational AI, firstly, the call is being recorded, although everybody is on mute due to the size of the audience. If you have any questions that come up during the webinar, please post it to the Q&A window in your Teams client. You'll see there's a Q&A button that's not normally there, but you'll see that given that this is a webinar. So please post your questions there or use the chat. Either is fine. We'll try and answer those questions as we go along. Otherwise, we have allocated a little bit of time at the end of this webinar to cover any of those questions. The webinar is recorded today, so if you want to refer a colleague to this recording, we'll send that out probably early next week. We'll post it to our YouTube channel, and you can refer any of your colleagues that couldn't attend today to that recording. Great, so let's get right into it. I think this is an image a lot of us can relate to. Some of the frustrations when it comes to dealing with a call center. So today we really want to dive into that world of conversation and conversational AI specifically, and discuss some of the real problems that it solves in modern call or contact centers. We all know the frustrations that callers experience: long queues, having to repeat themselves to multiple agents during handoffs and handovers, for instance, answers that's unclear, or agents that might only have limited access to your records, and that can lead to a real feeling of frustration. Simple queries are easy, but real customer conversations are quite messy. They sometimes are emotional, and very often they're multi-layered. And we'll talk about that specifically and how the Clevva technology addresses this multi-dimensionality and complexity and nuances that we typically have with voice conversations. So as a First Technology partner, Clevva brings structure, intelligence, and consistency to what is otherwise quite complicated voice interactions. And the intention is to help callers get answers faster, get service faster, and get more accurate and quicker resolution time using artificial intelligence. So as an introduction, I'm Gabriel. I'm a managing executive here at First Digital, and I'm very welcome and delighted to have Ryan Falkenberg, co-founder of Clevva, on the call today. And I'm going to hand over to him in a minute so he can introduce himself and talk us through the Clevva value proposition. So I think this is an interesting graph. This is research that was done on over 3,000 callers now in 2025. And it basically gauged the preference that callers to call centers have with dealing with your business. And we can see that the preference of having phone conversations still far outweighs any other of the digital media channels and contact points that businesses typically offer their customers to talk to them. So it tells a powerful story. You can see the drop-off down to chatbots at just 13%. Just shows how frustrated people are when digital tools can't understand their real issue. Most chatbots today handle only simple linear tasks. And the moment the conversations become layered or emotional, or there's multiple intents in a single statement in a conversation, we tend to see these technologies fall apart. And that's exactly why conversational AI, capable of managing these multidimensional phone calls, is so important. It meets customers where they already want to be, on the phone, while delivering fast resolution and also demonstrating a deep understanding of the challenges that the individual might have when they call your business. And this is a really interesting fact. This is research done by ResearchGate that says, in the end, although customers and clients of your organization gets frustrated when they have to wait in a call queue in order to be serviced on the phone, that satisfaction is shadowed by the ability of the agent to actually help them quickly. So customer satisfaction is more weighted towards being helped than the frustration that might come with actually waiting. So it's the helping bit, and it's the quality of the call that really becomes more important compared to the fact that they have to wait in a call queue. Okay, so I guess without further ado, I'm going to introduce Ryan. Ryan, good morning and welcome on our webinar. Really looking forward to hearing the the story around Clevva and how you guys have tackled this challenge. So over to you.
Morning, Gabriel, and morning, everyone. It really is an absolute joy to be with you today, and thank you for the invitation. I'm just going to share a deck with you, and would you just let me know when you can see, and then I'll continue.
You can see that perfectly, Ryan. Thank you.
Thanks. So, as Gabriel was mentioning, the experience of all of our customers and ourselves with chatbots has been far from joyous. We often sort of feel, why can we not get it right? With chatbots, they're pathetic. But when we work with ChatGPT and Claude and Grok, we're getting some amazing experiences. It really feels human-like. So can't we get Grok for business or ChatGPT for our business? It doesn't seem like, why is it so difficult to get right? What I want to really talk to is part of why it's been difficult, but now why it's starting to realize. This digital CX landscape is definitely moving towards full self-service. Customers are experiencing conversational technologies in all facets of life. And so it becomes almost a norm that I need to have a conversation. Don't give me a limited press button, menu-driven experience. I want to just have a conversation, like I have a conversation in my car or with my phone, etc. What you're also seeing is that the cost economics are really starting to show when you can do proper automation at scale, just how much you can save, and the sort of ability to ramp up very quickly without the challenge of training human agents to onboard and be able to answer calls is significant. And all of us have seen this incredible trajectory of technology. It just has ramped. What we could do 8 months ago to what we can do now has fundamentally changed, and it's changing all the time. And so there's definitely the sense of accelerated technology enablement. And you will also be very aware of the flood in the market. It's been almost unprecedented in terms of conversational technologies. Every CX platform, by its nature, has to now offer conversational capabilities or agentic capabilities, and everyone's scrambling to try and offer it. And I suppose it's almost impossible to see the wood for the trees, like which are really great and which are excellent in demos but can't scale. And so that's been quite a challenge for companies. Is that you're almost the incumbent, you're testing the incumbent's module to see whether that will work for you. And it's not working, and then but you're wondering whether anything else is even better in the market. And this is the reality that's happening in the space, is that most companies are actually outside of a basic FAQ, are not really using AI agents at scale with their customers. And what we call it the pilot purgatory. What happens is they see the promise. They get some really great use cases presented to them, incredible demos that just sound so amazing. And then they hit a pilot, and suddenly this consistency, the compliance, the capability is just not what they were hoping. And it's not working with their systems, it's not working with the environment. And when customers change direction, it gets confused. And then it's almost this dip of such high expectation, and then it just doesn't realize. And so internationally, there's been quite a fall off in terms of actual projects that have moved beyond pilot into production. It's very low. And what we're seeing in the market is one of the most critical issues is this lack of trust. And trust is not a feeling; it's an operational property that you've got to engineer into a conversation. And that there are 5 trust levers that we're picking up in conversational automation that has to be met for most companies to go live in production. The first is the AI agent needs to be competent in actually able to handle expert level conversation, not just be a basic assistant that when I ask for something, it gives it to me and then waits. And then I ask and it gives it to me and waits. But something that can have a conversation, a bi-directional conversation, like an expert would. Secondly, that I need to be able to audit what was said, and I need to be able to prove that it didn't go rogue on me, especially if I'm in a regulated industry. The other issue is that I need to be confident that if a customer deals with my AI agent via, let's say, WhatsApp or via my website, they're going to have the same conversation with the same answers as if they called through the voice channel. And so this reliability is very important. If every time you have a conversation or a call, you're getting a different answer and a different experience, you don't trust it. You also need to make sure that you won't be legally exposed by this AI agent in terms of it didn't follow your rules or policies. It just suddenly created its own reasoning models, and it put you in legal jeopardy. And then finally, that you are not at risk of it suddenly becoming biased in terms of what it's been patterned off and in any of the data that it's using in its predictions that could expose you. And so this has become quite a barrier for many companies to actually move into production. What's been very interesting in the CX world is we're starting to realize that the architecture of most of the LLMs is actually a problem when we're trying to get into conversation automation. And that is because probabilistic models are, while they really give you flexibility and fluency, and 99% of conversational AI technologies are probabilistic first, they are inconsistent and unreliable. And what we're trying to then do to bring that consistency in is we're using their dialogue scripts or their decision tree flows to try and create some deterministic models. But as we know, as soon as you try and decision tree a conversation, the customer never follows your decision tree. It's never what you think. And so it results in these very brittle conversations that end up always with a human. And as soon as complexity strikes, the AI agent stops and doesn't know what to do, and you trigger out. And so there's almost architecturally what is good for ChatGPT is not good for CX. And that's been quite an interesting aha for many companies, is that it actually is not a great thing having a probabilistic first model. You need a deterministic first model. And what you're starting to notice is across companies is we're getting very, very quick gains in the FAQs and basic responses. So you can almost feel like you're getting traction because it's getting a lot of the informational stuff. You can have a receptionist up there answering your calls, doing a basic diagnostic and diverting calls, and you feel you're onto it. And then what happens is that you suddenly hit the skids. And to try and get from 80% into the 100 is where a lot of the hard coding starts kicking in, and the costs just ramp. And as a result, across the board, what we're seeing with AI in CX is that we are still limited by this architecture to essentially automating probably 20 to 30% of call types. Those ones that we can handle, which are very menu driven, quite rigid, or are informational based. The rest, by design, we have to pass to human agents. And that's a massive challenge, because how do you scale digital self-service when all roads tend to lead to a human agent? And that's what we've really lent into solving, is how do we build AI agents that can be trusted, that are at expert level, that can adapt to different people's context, and that don't give you this menu-driven experience, that will follow your rules and processes, no matter the context, and that can work across multiple systems while keeping detailed records for compliance. And that's really what Clevva has specialized in. We've developed technologies that almost break this challenge of probabilistic first by creating a deterministic first hybrid system, which we can now manage across all of the channels, where we can determine what rules are going to drive these conversations, how to keep guardrails being adjusted to data, but never going and breaking. They are totally flexible dynamic models, but we can drive probabilistic human-like engagements with it. And that has been a game changer for us, because what it does is it means we can now rapidly move the volume and the complexity of calls that can be automated in a trusted way up to sort of the 60, 70, 80% range. And human agents then can truly move into tier 3 conversations. And that really is where we're seeing CX transform, is when tier 1 and tier 2 can be safely done through agentic, and tier 3 where really you're needing human engagement. It's often a lot of EQs required, or it's complexity without rule determination. That's where we are starting to target human engagement. So where we've really specialized is in tier one agents, the ability to have your call answered with a how can I help you? Not a choose 1, 2, 3, etc. That it will actually clarify and classify what you said, because you might have not explained yourself properly. It will be able to authenticate you to answer any of the questions that you might have in terms of the basic informational requests, or it will effectively triage you to a tier two agent. What we then also offer is the ability to build and train these tier two agents to complete the task without passing it through to a human agent. So that really is the ability to be an expert, to do root cause analysis, for example, in technical root cause analysis, to be able to do situational and need analysis in sales contexts, for example, to be able to apply all processes or front office processes in context without getting trapped by decision tree thinking. And then finally, to trigger next actions into systems in a way that you can trust all of the business rules were applied, all of the right structures have been applied to the data set so that the systems can automate and do straight through processing without worrying. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to give you an experience of an AI agent in action. I'm actually going to give you a live call. I'm going to stop sharing and just quickly change across my noise suppression. But what I want you to notice is in this conversation, I'm going to do a couple of things that are quite hard to get right. The first is I'm going to give this AI agent two challenges right up front, and it needs to know how to handle that. I'm also going to, when it asks me a question, I'm going to ask it a question, and you'll see how it can handle that. I'm going to get a little bit irritated with it and see how it shifts with sentiment. And so hopefully you'll be able to get a sense of what these AI agents are not capable to do in having real human-like conversations, but that they stick to guardrails and they can be trusted. I'm just going to be a quick second to stop sharing and then change my noise suppression, and then I'm going to dial in. Just just give me a sec. Okay. Righty. Gabriel, I'm going to let me just show you what we have. Just let me know when you can see my screen.
It's coming up as a blank black screen, Ryan. Oh, there we go.
Okay. So what I've got, this is a live demo, always the best to do, because as everyone knows, it's much easier to do a lovely demo on video. This is real. This is going to be live. I'm going to call in. I'm a record on HubSpot. At the moment, I've got an account balance. I've got a Google Pixel phone. It's got my details. It's noticed that I'm eligible for upgrade. So what I'm going to ask is, let's just change and show you how dynamic it is. What phone level should I have in the database so that you'll see how that'll adjust?
Well, let's go for Samsung.
Okay. All right. I'm going to now give a live call. I hope you can hear it. Sorry, this is, I don't know if you can see me, but this is a real live call. And here we go.
Hi, Ryan. You're speaking to Ava, an AI agent from Clevva Telco. How can I help you today?
Hi, Ava. I've got two issues. I've got a connectivity problem, but I'm also interested in your Samsung Galaxies.
I can check stock of the Galaxy S25 for you and help you with your internet connectivity issue. But before we continue, would you like to verify your identity for faster system checks, or continue without authentication?
I'm happy to be authenticated.
Great. I have sent you an OTP via WhatsApp. Please could you say or enter the OTP number followed by hash?
It's 811 hash.
Ryan. I need to ask you one more security question. What is the name of your first dog?
It's Skittle.
That is a cute name for a dog. You have been successfully authenticated. To check the system. Okay. I have checked your account and it is all in order. Are you connecting to the internet using your LTE connection?
Yes, I am.
Thanks for confirming. Are you experiencing slow, intermittent or no internet connectivity?
If I'm getting no connectivity, it's irritating.
I am really sorry to hear that your connection has stopped completely, and I understand how frustrating it must be, especially if this keeps happening. Let's get this fixed for you. I have refreshed your SIM's network settings, reconnected it to the LTE network, and restarted your LTE router remotely. Please wait 10 seconds and check if your internet is reconnected.
Okay. It's up. Thank you very much. I think you've fixed it.
Great. I'm glad your connection is back up and running. You also mentioned you're interested in the latest Galaxy S25 Plus. You're eligible for an upgrade, and we currently have all colors and storage options available. I can have your new phone shipped as soon as tomorrow when you upgrade to the 256 gig model. That's double your current storage while keeping the same talk, text, and data plan for $79.99 per month over 24 months. Would you like me to set that up for you today?
How much data have I got per month?
Your current plan includes 15 gigs of data per month, and your average usage is around 16 gigs. We have a plan that gives you 20 gigs per month for $109.99. Would you like to upgrade to that today?
No, I think I'll stick with the 15 gigs. Thanks.
No problem. Would you like the black phone again, or another color?
I think I'll stick with black. I know it's boring.
Black is a great color. I see that you don't have insurance on your current phone, so I just wanted to check if you need insurance on the new one.
No, I think I'll stick with my current insurers. Thanks.
No problem. Please remember to add your new phone to your insurance policy. I'll send your contract via WhatsApp to confirm details. If you accept before 5 p.m., your phone will arrive tomorrow. Did you receive the WhatsApp?
I've got it on my phone. Yes, I've got it. Thank you.
Excellent. You can reply on WhatsApp if you have any questions. Can I help you with anything else while we're on the call?
No, I think that's it. Thanks very much.
Do you have a moment to rate my service and give feedback?
Got a couple of seconds. Yep.
Thanks. How would you rate my service from 1 to 5, with 1 being poor and 5 being excellent?
I'll give you 4 out of 5.
Thank you for the positive rating. Do you have any suggestions on how I can improve?
Yeah, I'd prefer it if when the LTE is down, you guys fix it without me phoning in.
That's a great suggestion. I'll share it with my team and we'll look at implementing this to improve the experience in future. Do you have any other suggestions?
No, that's it. Thanks very much.
No problem. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.
Bye. So sorry, it did come, the WhatsApp did come on my phone. It obviously didn't match with the, on here. But just to then finish off, I think hopefully you would have picked up that it really is getting to a place where we can train these agents into handling a huge range of interconnected conversations. They ask the right questions, they can gather the right data sets, they can work with the right systems, and you can actually get the job done without feeling like you need to deal with a human agent. And what we also now are looking to do is bring a total managed service to you, so that you don't have to worry about tech, you don't have to worry about the teams, the skill sets that needed to be done to get this working. we can then train and manage an AI agent team for you. The target is obviously depending on the type of volumes we can get with you, but we can lower your total cost to serve, particularly against your human agents. We can remove the hassle factor of actually trying to work out all of the moving parts. How do you deal with different LLMs? How do you deal with different voice to text, accents, translations? We'll take care of all of that for you. We will just take away the stress of worrying about, will this say the right things, do the right things? And if it's not, if it needs to be retrained, we just take all the hassle away and make sure that it's kept up to date for you. It's performance at a level of human experts, and it's delivering with all the reporting that you need. We'll target and get that risk away from you so that you're not worrying about, again, that it will follow policy or procedure. Our AI agents cannot go off script. They cannot break a rule of yours. They are deterministic by design. And so you don't have to worry. With human agents, you can train, but people make mistakes. We'll make sure these won't make mistakes, and they'll execute consistently for you. And then ultimately that your customers, whether they go through chat or off your website or through voice, that they can get instant access to help. And if they can't get resolved, our agents will then transfer them instantly to your human agents with full transcripts and context. So that overall, you can have spikes any time of the year, any time of the day, in the language of choice, and your customers will be given the type of help that they really are looking for immediately. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more around the type of progress that we're making in the CX space. Over to you, Gabriel.
Great, Ryan. Thank you so much for that. That was a fascinating phone call to listen to. Thank you very much. So let's go to some questions. So again, I'm just going to invite the audience to post your questions. We don't have a massive attendance, so if anybody prefers to be unmuted, just let me know, and we'll allow that. But Ryan, maybe just to start off with, where at the moment, in the evolution of the technology, do you find the sweet spot? What do you think? Anybody that looks after a call center to service customers and customer service, which is typically inbound, and then also the outbound scenarios, where do you really think there's the most value to be realized, quickest?
So we typically starting in the frontline agents, where it normally takes us between 8 to 12 weeks to have a frontline agent working in one of our contact center clients. And that's then being able to handle all of the clarification, classification, goal identification, resolution, authentication, and transfer. And why that helps is that you already start getting data. You start, first of all, getting trust that this works, that it's effective, it's consistent. You can also, with that frontline agent, use that same brain to power your WhatsApp as well as your web environment. So you can have 3 channels immediately doing that role of the frontline agent. And then based on the patterns and the data that we start getting about all the call types, etc., we then identify which are the high volume calls where you currently have APIs. You do have APIs into your systems. We can then target and start identifying the high volume call types that we can build or train a tier 2 agent to now start doing. And that's really how we progress, is that we just in sprints, we do 1 or 2 call type per 2 weeks, and we slowly migrate all of the calls that are being handed off to human agents to specialist agents. So it's not just a big bang process. It's all about data. It's all about proven track record, and it's when you have access to the right systems, and that's why we partner with First Tech. Is that this team helps us make sure that we can access the right systems and get the right data to allow our specialist agents to have more and more fully automated conversations. So that's in terms of inbound. In outbound, we find it quite interesting. Like initially, I thought perfect would be just the first call, get AI agents phoning people. But what we found is that unless it's coming from a trusted source, and I suddenly hear an AI agent, I'm not going to respond typically that well. What we are finding is a better solution initially is using AI agents as a second part of that call. So in outbound sales, for example, with one of our insurance clients, they realized that 20% of their call is the upfront human sale. It's when there's the connection with the person and the commitments to buy, for example, a funeral cover. What then happens is 50% of that call was actually reading T's and C's. And the next 30% of that call time was in follow-up calls. So what we rather did there is look to get our AI agent handling the T's and C's component and the follow-ups. And so what it allowed is 100 outbound sales teams could suddenly do 5 times the calls because they were handling the upfront 20%. They were then saying to the customer, I'm now going to transfer you across to my AI agent partner who's going to walk you through the T's and C's, get the confirmations, and then follow up through WhatsApp or email to make sure that all of the outstanding information is gathered to close this. And customers were very happy with that transfer. And so what the business case there is actually boosting human capability and getting all of the kind of operational conversations automated. So we found that really good use cases.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's a great way to frame that, Ryan. And I think some of us can even relate to that. Recently, I've received a few unsolicited calls, and it's clearly a very well synthesized voice, arguably AI, even with background noise, for authenticity.
Yeah.
But the fact that first touch point was electronic, made me put the phone down, quite brutally. So that's really a perfect way to frame the outbound call scenario, in context of Clevva. I've got a direct message that was sent to me here by Jonathan, and I see Avinash from Dunlop has also posted a question. So Avinash, we'll get to your question in a second. The question I got here directly was, in order to build a useful AI agent that's got access to my records, and potentially making changes to the records, like you've just demonstrated, ordering that new Samsung phone during your phone conversation. What is the kind of limitations or ability to integrate with these exquisite systems out there, including SAP or Dynamics or whatever, my customer or CX database might be based on?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. So we're finding, obviously, the integration is an important part of the tier 2 automation process. We work with RESTful APIs, and so any system that has REST APIs we can work directly with. There are obviously legacy systems that don't have that. So what we've had, for example, in one of our international clients, it's a UK council, is that they are then using a Dataverse layer above to then bring in the data that we can access real time. And they're actually using RPA or digital workers overnight to update those records and make sure that that's being done. So they're using digital workers to get the layer and the data updated for us, and then we are using that in real time.
Okay.
So if you're wanting immediate data that we need to action, for example, hyper-personalization, we need access to that, but we can come up with ways in which, if that data is not moving quickly, we can then look at a model like that where we can access it and then pass back for RPA to process. It all depends on the architecture, but the more we can get straight through or integrated access, the more we can automate.
Yeah, brilliant. So for certain data points, such as an account balance, for instance, ideally we want to get to data fairly real time.
Yeah.
Whereas, data points that might not change that often, like somebody's first name, last name, and maybe their preferences, in your case, your phone color, that can be staged in order to access it quickly during the conversation, but then updated through some sort of schedule back to the backend system again.
Correct. So that next action can take place overnight, for example, and then.
Right. Excellent. Just Avinash's question there, Ryan, I think you can also see it in the chat winner. He's from Dunlop. Avinash, actually know you from my days up in Durban. Can the call center agent's voice be a little bit more human-like, Ryan? To talk to us about that topic a bit. And accents as well. I think, since we're on the topic, also accents, is quite important in terms of regional nuances when it comes to accents.
It's a good point. So we use so this one was a Microsoft voice translation service. We're actually working with an African bank, and we're working with 11 Labs as our translation. It's actually a costed decision. At 11 Labs, we find are really good with voice translation, and for example, the Ghanaian accents in this case, very, very human-like. So that's our preference. Actually, is 11 Labs at the moment, but it's a cost decision. So what I was showcasing, a lot of what we integrate with in the Azure space is the Microsoft set. It allows our Microsoft customers to really leverage their existing architectures and infrastructure. But we do then, our preference is then to look at best-in-class language translation. So it's getting very human-like, and we would be delighted to showcase to you the different accents, the different it's even getting more and more accurate with even if I'm speaking English, there's different ways of speaking English, and we're getting a lot more accurate in picking up intents, etc. So we work with third-party tech for that, and we try and choose the right tech for the right customer and their price point as well as their requirements.
Okay, great, Ryan. And I think that leads me on nicely to the last question, which is, the impression we got from you talking specifically about the pluggability of the text-to-voice conversion, the ability to integrate with legacy systems, given a variety of different integration options. It seems like Clevva took quite a modular approach, to building your technology, which I think is refreshing, because it might give our customers the opportunity to leave existing systems in place and not necessarily, like you've indicated, look at the add-ons that might be coming from their CX vendor. Was that a deliberate decision in terms of how you built this technology?
It is very deliberate. Is that we realized that the speed at which the different components are moving in the advancements in those areas is so high that we didn't want to get trapped with our own voice translation tech that becomes then almost a legacy issue for ourselves. We're not keeping it up, and there's far better alternatives. We're working with different CX environments and CX platforms. So we wanted to actually be third-party tech agnostic. What we realized is that what we wanted to bring into the stack was a conversational orchestration layer that would be controlling the conversation, the rules, the next actions, the auditability that we wanted to bring in, but we wanted them to leverage all of the other componentry, because every environment's different. And we didn't then want our clients to feel that they had to, as you say, they had to get rid of something in order to access effective AI. We wanted to be able to bring what I don't think most of our clients have, and that is that deterministic conversational orchestration component. And then we wanted to leverage what they've got. And if they don't have those components, we work with those components and we'll bring it in for them.
Okay, great. Okay, that's excellent. So I guess in summary, because this is a challenge that I've heard some of our customers raised when they look at, some of the technology out there that promises something similar, is that there's sometimes conditions in terms of, the telephony system itself, or, the CX platform itself might need to be wholesale replaced in order to bring the technology in. Whereas you guys took an approach of purely focusing on that orchestration layer, effective phone calls within whatever environment the client might already have, all the way from infrastructure to software systems.
So what we have lent into was the Azure and Microsoft world. We do have Kubernetes, and we can deploy into AWS and, for example, to Google Cloud. But what we have really focused and lent into is our specialization on the componentry within the Microsoft world, particularly when our clients say to us, can you just take care of it? We will then take care of all the componentry. The team, they literally are just paying per voice minute for the services. Then we stick with the Microsoft ecosystem, But our platform is agnostic. So, it can then deploy into other environments. We've got certain banks, for example, that are only AWS focused. We can then work with that. For a full outsourced service, we would tend to offer you an Azure account in your world that you can manage.
Okay, great. Excellent. Thank you, Ryan. Okay, great. I guess last opportunity just for anybody that might still have a last question before we start closing down the webinar. Just going to give that a second. Ryan, while we wait for potentially any last questions, any parting words or advice maybe for any of our attendees today that's really eager to try and dive into this world? What would be an appropriate next step for them? Or some of the things that they might need to start thinking about.
Yeah, so I think what we'd be very happy to share with you through yourself, Gabriel, which you do have, is what we've realized in our journey is that there are probably about 18 competencies or capabilities that an AI agent will require to really get you into meaningful automation. And I think there is so much bluster out in the market in terms of it's almost that we can show these amazing demos with really nice words, etc. And it seems quick, it seems all perfect. And then when you get into the nitty gritty, you start realizing those limitations. So what we can do is share with you just a kind of a checklist of the type of capabilities that you should be looking for in whatever technology that you start looking at, as a way just to make sure that what you're not doing is getting caught up in the easy, low-hanging fruit world, but that you are not being cited on just how complex it does get when many moving parts start happening, particularly in the voice world. And I think that could be potentially helpful, because the more we've got into this, the more we realized if a easy low-code click and drag model is so nice to see, but I would have warning signs and warning bells, because it is not that simple. It is those will take you to a limit, and then you won't be able to go further with them. There is more to this. It's just that many technology partners are not really wanting to tell you that, because they wanted to kind of get you in. We are really focused on saying, if we're going to take our customers all the way to 60 to 70, then we have to really be focusing on the small details that matter at those levels. And so, hopefully that would help you just as a checkpoint when anyone's showing you, just to assess whether they can offer the full capabilities to take you to voice as well as proper chat automation.
No, Ryan, that's great advice, and I think it's sometimes a trap we fall into, especially with today's emerging technologies, is to go for a POC, which in itself there's completely nothing wrong with that, in order to test the feasibility of the technology, but then picking use cases that might not demonstrate ultimately where we want the technology to be, and we have success, and then we battle to move beyond POC, because suddenly we're in that more complex territory. So I love that. I love that suggested approach. Pick something that is sufficiently complicated, that that it can cover those 80% of the scenarios that you've mentioned when we started. Couple of more questions. Ryan just came in. Let's just quickly cover that. Another one from Avinash in terms of local AI infrastructure. I'm assuming if we just think about Microsoft Azure here, you can do local data center deployments. As far as I know from your tech stack that I know a little bit more intimately, all of the services that you use, as far as I know, is locally available in the South African data centers. So that definitely obviously help with latency. Avinash, I hope that covers that question. And then I'm just gonna read the question here from Charlene, who's representing GDE. We have a service desk where incidents and request calls are logged. Can your AI update, classify, or prioritize incidents and request tickets directly within our service desk system? Ryan, do you want to give that a stab? You get what Charlene is asking?
Yeah, so that's a good use case actually. Is so for example, if it's ServiceNow or whatever, we worked with ITSM environments as well as quite technical environments, technical support environments, where the challenge is about upfront. Can you do proper root cause analysis, situational analysis, get to the diagnostic, and then trigger the right next action in the service desk? And that's absolutely what we would be able to help you with.
Okay, great. Thanks, Ryan. I think we've covered all the questions. I think in conclusion, if anybody that's attended this call is interested in having a further conversation, either with myself or Ryan, please reach out to your First Technology account manager or your First Digital Business Development Manager. If you're not sure who that is, please mail Claire, who would have, is the organizer of today's webinar. You will have her contact details. And we will make sure that we get in touch with you and take the conversation further. So in conclusion, Ryan, thank you very much. That was really a great demonstration, and I think the story around how Clevva approaches this world really is quite refreshing to hear, in terms of your approach. So thank you very much for joining us today. I'm looking forward for continued partnership with you guys. And then also to all of our attendees, big thank you for you guys. I know this is an absolute crazy time of the year. I call it Madvember, which kind of has got a hangover into December. I'm sure it's all going to cool down a little bit in the next few weeks, except if you're in retail. But thank you very much for making the time today to attend our webinar. And we will send out a thank you email early next week with also a link to the recording of the webinar. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.